As commercial interests and as other groups get more and more of a capability to see and hear from space, they are going to get more and more involved with each other for good or for ill, cheek by jowl. We are developing for the first time in history a planetary nervous system.
We catalog it in this thing called a satellite catalog, which has every object that's ever achieved orbit around the Earth, starting with object number 1, which was back here, let me see, October 1957, which was Sputnik, which was the first object that was cataloged. The next object to be cataloged will be object number 21,808. Right now, the Space Surveillance Center is tracking slightly under 7,000 objects. Yeah.
About the new compact equipment that makes GPS an easy-to-use field tool. GPS is the Defense Department's air, land, and sea all-weather 24-hour radio navigation network. By the early 1990s, it will provide position fixes worldwide to military and civilian users, thanks to more than 20 orbiting satellites. GPS has 3 parts: satellites, ground control, and user receivers. How can you pinpoint your location anywhere on national forest land from orbiting satellites? By using the principle of ranging. Locating the longitude and latitude of a ground position requires measuring the distances, the ranges, from at least 3 different satellites. Each satellite emits a radio signal. This signal includes the satellite's location and the time the signal left the satellite. The GPS receiver takes this data and instantly computes satellite range. GPS simply takes advantage of the relationship among velocity, time, and distance to determine satellite ranges and your location. The result is your position in longitude and latitude, and if the signals of a 4th satellite can be picked up, elevation as well. Under ideal conditions, a GPS receiver can provide 50-foot accuracy or better. With 2 receivers, one at a known spot and the second in the field, you can pinpoint your location within 10 feet or better.
3, 2, unité, feu. Allumage. Décollage.
The radar altimeter measures the height between the satellite and the sea surface. Through a number of tracking systems involving both laser and microwave techniques, we can measure the height of the orbit above a reference surface. Subtracting the range measurement made by the altimeter from the satellite orbit height, we can then determine the height of the sea surface very precisely. To make accurate determination of ocean currents from sea surface height, the satellite has measured the height of the sea surface with an accuracy of 10 centimeters, which is 4 inches. This is unprecedented accuracy of sea surface height measurement ever made in space. This remarkable achievements represent the progress in 2 technologies. One is altimetry, the other is precision orbit determination. Topography is defined as the difference between the height of a sea surface and the height of a surface we call the geoid. The geoid is the surface on which the Earth's gravity field is uniform. Under the influence of the Earth's rotation, there's a slight change of the sea surface from the geoid due to ocean currents. And this change is very small and not perceptible to human eyes. It only can be seen by a precision radar altimeter. Now, I'd like to show you the first results of TOPEX Poseidon showing the map of ocean topography. May I have the next slide? And I said this is the first map we constructed from TOPEX Poseidon data of the ocean topography. The data is collected from a 10-day period early in October, which is about 2 months after the launch of the satellite. The total relief of the topography is indicated by the color scale here, which is about the range of 2 meters, which is less than the tallest basketball player. I show you a videotape, which the first part is an attempt to give you a three-dimensional perspective of the ocean topography. And what you see is an exaggeration of the vertical relief of the topography, just to give you some idea, and we'll simulate flight over several features of the topography in the Atlantic, Pacific, and Antarctic circumpolar current. Now we begin to tilt the surface. You begin to see the exaggerated vertical relief of this topography, give you a feeling that the ocean surface indeed have some slight change to support ocean currents like this. Ping pong balls is our attempt to show you the sense of the flow around the topography. This is the Atlantic Ocean. Now we're leaving Atlantic to fly over Pacific, over the highest point of the topography. And you see the strong Japan current flowing around this highest mountain of the dynamics of the ocean. Now we live in the Pacific, fly over Indian Ocean, and to take an overview of the Antarctic current, which is supported by a cliff of ocean topography, about a 2-meter drop, supporting this mighty Antarctic current. Now we're getting back to the two-dimensional view of the topography, currents from space. Now you see all these dots. The black dots is a set of simulated drifters. Very soon you will see all those drifters begin move with the currents determined from TOPEX Poseidon topography. The major features are these large-scale recirculating cell of water oceanographers call gyres. Just bring your attention to these gyres off east coast of the United States, which has a boundary current, famous Gulf Stream, transporting enormous amount of heat to the northern Atlantic, release the heat to the atmosphere, and that help warm the Europe, which otherwise would be very cold. And
let me introduce here some data from some computer models of the ocean circulations. We in our group at the Naval Research Laboratory are now developing numerical forecast models similar to those that we've had for a number of years in the atmosphere for forecasting ocean conditions. This is some work done by Drs. John Kendall and Harley Hurlbert in our group. This is a typical situation actually from one of the supercomputer simulations where the winds, the trade winds, cause the pileup of this warm pool mass in the far western Pacific. Could I have the next slide? Occasionally these trade winds relax. That is, they actually die down. And in the process of that, they excite a large pulse of warm water known as a Kelvin wave. This video loop that will illustrate the sea surface topography being observed by TOPEX Poseidon, and in this loop, which spans a period of time from October of '92 through the present month, you will actually see this pulse, this Kelvin wave traveling across the equator in the Pacific. This is work done by Dr. Greg Jacobs at the Naval Research Laboratory in our group. The red regions represent sea level anomalies, the order of about 10 to 15 centimeters. The blues are relative lows, again about 10 or 15 centimeters. There's a sliding calendar moving from November of '92, or rather October of '92, through November, December, January, and the present month, February. And notice here in December, I can hardly see it from where I am, I hope you can see it, there's actually a pulse which appears in this ridge, and you can follow that warm water pulse as it propagates along this high ridge located near the equator. And in January, it's already in the eastern Pacific, and actually accelerating somewhat in January and heading off towards the South American coast.
The history of cartography is rich in tradition and in the advancement of technologies. With the introduction of computer technology and the use of map, chart, and database production, map production entered a new arena. Now with the creation of the digital chart of the world, another step is taken in the advancement of map making. This ambitious project is sponsored by the United States Defense Mapping Agency, together with the Canadian Directorate of Geographic Operations, the Australian Army Directorate of Survey, and the United Kingdom Directorate General of Military Survey. In 1989, the Defense Mapping Agency began development of a comprehensive GIS base map called the Digital Chart of the World. This project involves the creation of a digital geographic database known as the DCW, a display software package called VPFView, and a standard vector product format that will be the foundation for GIS base map products for years to come. The DCW database has been developed to utilize a technology known as a Geographic Information System, or GIS. Let's first take a more detailed look at a GIS. A GIS is an organized collection of computer hardware, software, geographic data, and people assembled to capture, store, manipulate, analyze, and display geographically referenced information. A GIS data model involves storage of tabular data or attributes in association with polygons, lines, and points. GISs use these features as building blocks to represent objects on the Earth. The second major component of GIS databases, the attributes, are the stored characteristics of the objects. Attributes are usually stored in a relational or table format to allow relationships between these attributes to be effectively represented. GIS base map for a wide range of military and civilian applications, from transportation analysis to strategic planning, from military operations support to rainforest deforestation studies. Here the DCW is used by a GIS to display transportation infrastructure at a regional scale. The cities and railroad lines of the Western republics of the former Soviet Union are being thematically reviewed. A closer look at the city of Moscow can also be supported. Within a GIS, the DCW database can also serve as a strategic planning and statusing tool for military operations. Detailed planning and tracking of troop movements can be accomplished so that the positions of all units within an area of operation can be managed through time. The DCW can also form the basis for a wide range of regional environmental applications. Here, a thematic display of the Amazon River Basin illustrates the result of clear cutting. Closer analysis illustrates the possible effects of erosion on stream sedimentation levels. Essentially, any organization with global interest conducting GIS applications will find the DCW product helpful.
Going in. Here goes nothing. Now lock onto the strongest power source. It should be the power generator.
Form up. Stay alert. We could run out of space real fast.
Split up and head back to the surface. And see if you can get a few of those TIE fighters to follow you.
Copy, Goal Leader.
What? Right there! It was too close.
We've got to give those fighters more time.
Recent advances in the systems used to acquire seafloor imagery have created massive spatial data sets that are challenging existing analytical and visualization techniques. In an attempt to directly address this problem, the University of New Brunswick's Ocean Mapping Group is developing software and hardware that allows an investigator to interactively fly through and explore a three-dimensional data set. Interactive flight is made possible through the use of the BAT, developed by Dr. Colin Ware.
This is the BAT. We call it the BAT because it's like a mouse that flies. Using the BAT, I can couple hand motion directly to flight. To fly forward, I move my hand forward. To fly back, I move my hand back. I can move right, left, up, down, and I can twist about any axis simply by twisting my hand. We use the BAT to explore 3D data spaces. I'm going to fly in now and find Bermuda, which is right here. As soon as I let go of the button, I get a more and more detailed view of the scene. We can also use this system to make movies, so that I can record my sequence of movements over the terrain and later play them back in single frame animation mode.
Let's take a flight to the North American segment of the eTOPO5 database. We'll start by flying along the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. In this visualization, color is mapped to depth, though it can easily be used to display other variables like gravity or magnetics. We'll turn around the Grand Banks and come along the continental slope of eastern North America. The vertical exaggeration is significant in this particular flight, but it's easily changed by the operator. We'll turn along the Canadian seamounts and then up and out of the ocean in order to zoom into Passamaquoddy Bay between Maine and New Brunswick. Here we're looking at an approximately 100 square kilometer piece of seafloor in Passamaquoddy Bay. The data we are seeing was collected using the EM1000 multi-beam system on the Canadian Hydrographic Services swath vessel Creed at speeds greater than 15 knots. Once again, color is mapped to depth, with the reds representing shoals of about 10 meters and the deep blues representing depths of about 100 meters. The zipper-like feature running through the dataset is the result of an inappropriate sound speed profile for that line. The remarkable circular features are pockmarks, the largest ones being about 30 meters in diameter and 30 meters deep. While their origin is not fully understood, we believe that they are related to the release of gas or fresh water along recent faults. The larger ones are clearly oriented along the regional fault direction. While mapping color to depth clearly accentuates the bathymetric relationships, we are in reality wasting a degree of freedom. In our next flight, we will map color to side-scan sonar backscatter strength and thus begin to address the important issue of seafloor classification. Here we are looking at about a 200 square kilometer area of seafloor of Chebucto Head near Halifax, Nova Scotia. These data were collected with an EM100 multi-beam system aboard the Canadian Hydrographic Services vessel Matthew. Bathymetric relationships are clearly visible from the 3D presentation, and we've used color here to map changes in side-scan sonar backscatter strength, with reds representing high backscatter and deep blues representing low backscatter. Bedrock outcrops show up clearly as red areas. Glacial sediments are represented by the green shades, and soft clays are seen as the blues filling the troughs. We plan to further explore the use of color and texture to display multiple variables, and will soon be implementing a head-coupled full stereo visualization system that will allow an investigator to truly immerse himself in his data without getting wet.
Loch Ness, a remote and beautiful place and home to a mystery that has kept millions in its thrall. This summer, a Norwegian vessel, MV Simrad, with an international group of scientists on board, began the most thorough exploration of the Loch ever undertaken. With some of the most sophisticated sonar equipment in the world on board, this expedition is in marked contrast to one at the beginning of the century, when the depth of the Loch was plumbed from a rowing boat using a lead weight and piano wire. Project Urquhart discovered that at 788 feet, the Loch is deeper than had been thought. Scooped from the Loch floor is mud containing nematodes, tiny worm-like creatures which provide scientists with information about the Loch, the effect of pollution and the way such creatures develop. Also discovered in the murky depths, a wreck preserved in the Loch's peaty waters and netting, possibly connected with a World War II experiment designed to develop a fuel pipeline. And on a computer printout, so-called stepping stones, 60 to 70 metres apart on the bottom of the Loch. Most probably sonar targets, put there by the MOD in the 1960s so that accurate sonar measurements could be taken. But arguably the high point of the survey came one evening at around 7 o'clock, when a military sonar locked onto an underwater target for 2 minutes before it vanished. In the opinion of the sonar operator, it was the largest mid-water echo he'd ever found in the Loch. But was it? Could it have been Nessie?
Unless you drain the Loch, I don't think you can actually prove that it doesn't exist. I just don't know. I have an open mind. It would be nice to find one, wouldn't it?
It certainly would for those who benefit from the monster tourist industry that's grown up around the mystery of the Loch. For the moment, the Nessie legend lives on.
Seeing came from this scientific research team. This past summer, they've been studying the bottom of Loch Ness. They needed a model of their data, so they sent it here to UNB. Apart from discovering the lake was deeper than they thought, they found something else, something unexplained.
Well, that blip there is not geological. That's not part of the lake. That's not some rock sticking out of the lake. That has to be something in the water.
So could this be the Loch Ness Monster? Well, Dr. Ware wouldn't bite.
Quite honestly, I don't know what it is. I'm skeptical about there being a Loch Ness Monster. I suspect it's a school of fish, although there are apparently not too many schools of fish in the loch. But a school of fish can cast an echo like that.
Ah, come on. The blip stayed in the same spot for hours while the ship took its sonar readings. It floated 150 meters above the bottom. Still, Ware won't bite.
There's something up there, but there's nothing down in here. That is all acoustic echo shadow. So you've got something up there which is casting a kind of shadow on the bottom. But when we make our digital map, it looks like a pinnacle. But it really isn't a pinnacle, it's just something right there.
Now, how big would that something up there be?
Well, I think maybe it's somewhere between 20, 40 meters. It's very hard to tell. We really don't have enough detail in the data to be able to say with any accuracy at all how big it is. It's just that it is fairly large.
So will this computer model solve the Loch Ness Monster mystery? Well, not this time.
So I think we're getting better and better sensing technology, remote sensing technology, to be able to, in 10 or 15 years, nothing will be able to hide in there.
Jennifer Dagsvik, CBC News, Fredericton.
From outside, it looks like a standard van. Even the small pie-shaped antenna and cameras on its roof are easy to miss. But inside is specially designed equipment that revolutionizes mapping and greatly enhances management and maintenance of the nation's highways. Using satellite positioning signals, researchers from NASA's Center for the Commercial Development of Space in Ohio are producing highly accurate, up-to-date maps simply by driving the streets. Maintaining contact with navigational satellites makes it possible to calculate exactly where the van is at all times. And if the location of the van is known, so is the position of the road it's on. Never before has mapping been so easy or precise. Not only is the information accurate and current, it's also in digital form, meaning it can be processed with computers. This is of tremendous value to government agencies responsible for managing highways. Decisions such as the best route for hazardous cargo can be made far more quickly and reliably. Until now, building an electronic database to support decision-making like this required digitizing existing paper maps, an expensive, time-consuming, imprecise process, and often the maps worked from were over 20 years old. Another major benefit of the mobile mapping system is data that can be obtained about highway features. Project personnel record this information using a touchscreen and standard keyboard. At the same time, digital stereo cameras capture the position and condition of overpasses, signs, utility poles, guardrails, potholes, and any other features useful to highway planners. Project Manager Philip Johnson.
If you have all this information in a digital form, and you know that you have a budget of so many dollars, then you can look at the roads that are in the worst condition. You'll know exactly where these sections are that need repair, and then from that you can determine how to allocate your money so that you get the most benefit from it.
The technology can also be transferred to trains for mapping railways, boats for waterways, or aircraft for larger geographic features. The system could even be part of future rovers mapping the surface of the Moon or Mars.
Welcome to Trav Tek, a cooperative effort between the American Automobile Association, the City of Orlando, the Federal Highway Administration, the Florida Department of Transportation, and General Motors. Trav Tek, which stands for Travel Technology, is a project that will provide valuable data on ways to improve travel and traffic management and make driving more pleasurable. Your involvement in this project will provide us with information that will influence the future of automobile technology, as well as the safe and efficient movement of traffic. This is what the car you'll be driving will look like. It's a 1992 Oldsmobile Toronado. You drive it as you would any new Oldsmobile. The Trav Tek technology does not affect the car's basic operation in any way. This is the Trav Tek color display. This video will provide you with a complete instructional overview on how to operate this system. Family to solo. And common sense tells us that the first way Trav Tek can help is to find their hotel. Here's how it works.
To search for information regarding hotels, select the main menu category, Services and Attractions. Then touch Done. You may now access information on a variety of services and attractions, from nightlife to restaurants to museums, theme parks, and places to stay. For information on hotels, select Where to Stay. Touch Done. Now you may again select from a list of categories. Let's assume our family's hotel is AAA approved. To access this data, simply touch this button. A new screen appears giving options on how to select the hotel. You can select from an alphabetical listing, which is just that. All of the Orlando area AAA approved hotels and motels are listed alphabetically. The Page Back button always takes you back to the previously displayed screen. You may also make your selection based on room rates, AAA Diamond ratings, and desired amenities. Many people will choose to just enter the name of the hotel. Often the first few letters will be sufficient. Begin by touching the button that contains the first letter of the hotel name. Let's assume we're staying at a Ramada resort. First touch the QRST button. Note that all of these 4 letters have appeared on the bottom of the screen. Now touch the R button. Since the next letter in Ramada is A, go to the 4-letter button that contains ABCD. Touch the button for A, and it now appears next to the R. Repeat the process for the letter M. You now have put enough information in for the system to act. Touch Done. The next screen will list the names of the hotels in the area that begin with the letters you entered. To view additional names, touch Next Page. Also indicated will be the direction and approximate mileage to each hotel from your current location. Now simply touch the button next to your hotel. Information regarding this hotel is now displayed. For additional information, touch Next Page. To see where the hotel is in the Orlando area, touch the Show Map button. The star around the square indicates the location of your hotel. Note that your car's location is identified by this symbol.
You may want to direct the system to phone the hotel for you while your car is in park.
As you travel, the screen will change to a simplified view of the maneuvers you should make along your selected route. A sequence of guidance maps will appear on the screen and guide you from your present location to your destination. Note the white lines on the arrow disappear as you approach your turns. The distance to the turn is also displayed. If you prefer, you can return to the route map by pressing the Swap Map steering wheel button. In addition to visual guidance messages, you will also hear audio instructions as you drive. The Repeat Voice steering wheel button does just that, repeats the message. If you choose not to hear the voice, turn it off by pressing the Voice Guide button. The same button will also turn the voice on. All steering wheel buttons operate when the car is in drive. Above the map is an indicator that tells you approximately how many miles and minutes there are to your final destination based on current traffic conditions. If there is congestion affecting travel flow, a caution ahead advisory message will be displayed on the screen like this. If you have the traffic report on, you'll also hear this message.
Ahead on Beeline Expressway, traffic is moderately congested.
If you're driving on your route and an incident is detected, the system will give you the option of rerouting if there's a better way to go.
A faster route is now available.
Just press the OK New Route button on your steering wheel if you would like to take the alternate route.
As you drive, it's recommended that when you're stopped at an intersection, you occasionally check the street signs to make sure that the information that appears on the screen is accurate. If the information on your screen does not match, then call the AAA Trav Tek Help Desk for assistance. They will tell you how to correct your location using the Correct Location function on the main menu.